One of Outer Banks' most complicated characters could be getting their own spin-off. And honestly, I think it could work. Season 5 spoilers ahead, so if you haven't finished this season, save this video and come back to it later. You're not gonna wanna miss this. The creators have actually talked about continuing Rafe and Sophia's story. But the bigger question for me is, has Rafe actually changed enough for their story to continue? Because let's be honest, this is not the same Rafe that we met back in season 1. This is the guy who spent seasons making reckless decisions, hurting people, and doing things that made the Pogues question whether they could even trust him. He even tried to drown his own sister back in season 2. But then you get to season 5 and suddenly we're watching John B actually rely on Rafe. And I don't think we would have believed that a few seasons ago. His relationship with Sophia is also a huge part of that change. They had a really rocky history, especially what happened between them in season 4, but by the end of season 5, Rafe had already forgiven her and was willing to build a life with her. And then Sophia proves that she has Rafe's back. When Rafe is being chased by the police, she helps him escape, even takes his car, and they switch phones so he could get away. She ends up getting arrested for helping him, and Rafe risks everything to break her out. To me, that was probably the biggest turning point in their relationship, because Rafe finally had someone he could trust. And someone who was willing to put everything on the line for him. And honestly, from a viewer's perspective, I think Rafe got the ending he deserved in a way. Because when you look at everything he's done throughout the show, Rafe has done some genuinely terrible things. But he's still alive, he's not spending the rest of his life in prison, and he gets to leave the Outer Banks with Sophia and start over. And the creators actually explained why they gave him that ending. Josh Pate, one of the show's creators and executive producers, said they viewed Rafe not being arrested for murder as a win. And Shannon Burke, another executive producer on the show, explained that they wanted his ending to feel as realistic as possible for someone who had been as bad as Rafe had been. He had to pay for what he'd done, but he was exiled and he still got a second chance. And honestly, I think that's what makes his ending so interesting. Rafe didn't get a perfect happy ending. He got an opportunity. And that's actually what would make me interested in a spinoff. I wouldn't want it to be Rafe and Sophia living happily ever after. I want to see Rafe actually rebuild his life, figure out who he is when he's no longer trying to get his father's approval, because that's something I don't think we talk about enough with Rafe. So much of his behavior was tied to wanting Ward's approval, competing with Sarah, and feeling like he never measured up. And even though Ward is gone, I still think there's a lot of anger inside of Rafe that he hasn't completely dealt with. So if they did give us a spinoff, that's the story I would want. Can Rafe actually break that cycle? Can he build a life that isn't defined by the things his father did or the worst things Rafe himself has done? Because his unpredictable personality is exactly what makes him so interesting. You never really know when Rafe is going to snap. And I think that could make a spinoff really interesting, as long as they don't forget that he's still a very complicated character. Now, I don't know if Rafe and Sophia actually have enough story for an entire series, but if the creators announced tomorrow that they were getting one, I'm sorry y'all, but I'm watching it. Because if they're going to continue their story, I want to see whether Rafe can actually become the person season 5 made us believe he could be. But what do you guys think? Would you actually watch a Rafe and Sophia spinoff? Or do you think their story should end here? Let me know what you guys think about this down below in the comment section.